Landscape of the Soul. This is the fourth chapter in the main English textbook Hornbill of class 11th. It contains write-ups by two authors, Nathalie Trouvreau, who is an art historian with areas of interest like Chinese art, medieval art, and architecture. The second piece is written by Vrinda Suri, an independent journalist. The lesson brings in a comparison between Asian art and European art. It also familiarizes the reader with the concept of art brut. The chapter begins with an anecdote about a Chinese painter Wu Daoxi who lived in the 8th century. Wu Daoxi was known for his vivid landscape paintings. It is said that he traveled widely and painted murals of extensive scenery. As the legend goes, once Wu Daoxi was commissioned by the Tang Emperor to decorate a palace wall. The painting was hidden behind a curtain and only the emperor could see it. The emperor appreciated the wonderful scenery with forests, high mountains, waterfalls, clouds floating in the sky, men on hilly paths, and birds in flight. Wu Daoxi told the emperor that on the foot of the mountain there is a cave in which there lived a spirit. The painter clapped his hands, the entrance to the cave opened. Before the emperor could move and speak, the door closed. Wu Daoxi vanished into the painting. He never returned and was never seen. There was another painter who was afraid to draw the eyes of the dragon in his painting. He believed that the spirit lies in the dragon's eyes and the dragon would come alive if he drew them. Such stories form an important part of Chinese classical education, especially in the books of Confucius and Zhuangzi. They help the master to guide his disciple in the right direction. They also help the readers to understand the true pursuit of the artist in Chinese art. Now the author moves on to another anecdote from her native place, Flanders. During the 15th century, a blacksmith named Quinten Metzes lived in Antwerp. He fell in love with a painter's daughter. However, the painter did not approve of having a blacksmith as a son-in-law. One day, Quinten secretly entered the painter's room and drew a fly on the painter's panel. It looked like a real fly. The painter tried to swat it away. He was impressed and agreed for the alliance. He also took in Quinten as his apprentice. This story shows that the European artists tried to achieve a delicate realism and illusionistic likeness in their works. Having said that, let us see what is delicate realism and illusionistic likeness. Delicate realism is a quality of art which makes it seem real. Illusionistic likeness are the techniques used by the artist to create the impression of reality. Here you can see examples of realistic painting in Europe. It appears as if the sites and people are real. This brings the author to draw in a comparison between China's and European art. The Chinese artist attempts to pursue the inner life and spirit of his work. As we saw in the story of Wu Daoxi, the emperor could appreciate the outer appearance of the painting, but only the artist could find the way within, and only he could reveal the true meaning, the inner spirit of his work. A Chinese painting can be seen from different angles. It doesn't have a single perspective. The viewer can enter it into from any point and travel through its length and breadth. Here the author brings in the concept of the horizontal scroll, which means slowly opening one section of the painting and then rolling it up to move on to the other. In a Chinese painting, the viewer has an active participation. The landscape is an inner one, a spiritual and conceptual space. In contrast to this, a European painter attempts to achieve illusionistic likeness. The paintings are realistic, The artist wants the viewer to look at a landscape exactly as he saw it. There would be only one perspective, that of the artist. Here you can see Chinese landscape paintings. Now the author moves on to explain the concept of shan shui. Shan shui literally means mountain water, which together forms the landscape. This is further illustrated with the Taoist view of the universe. In the Taoist view, mountain is called yang and water is yin. Mountain or the yang reaches vertically towards the heaven. It is stable, warm, and dry in the sun. Water or yin lies flat on the earth. It is horizontal, it is fluid, moist, and cool. Yang or the mountain represents the masculine aspect of the universe, and water or yin represents the feminine aspect of the universe. Here you have an image of yang and yin together. Yang and yin are represented as complementary to each other. This is similar to the concept of Prakriti and Purusha in the Indian philosophy. Here we can see that black has a portion of white in it and white has a portion of black in it. Together, they form the complete circle, the whole. Similarly, in the universe, the masculine has an aspect of the feminine in it, and vice versa. And together, they form the complete circle, the landscape. Now the author tells about the space of interaction between yang and yin, between heaven and earth, the middle void. The whole thing is compared with pranayama. In pranayama, we take in breath, retain it for a few seconds, and then exhale. That period of retention is the middle void. It is represented in Chinese painting by the empty white space. You can see that empty white space in the Chinese paintings which were shown in the earlier slides. Man has a prominent role here. He becomes a means of communication between heaven and earth, or in Francis Sheng's words, the eye of the landscape. In these paintings, you can see the mountain, the yang, yin, the water, and the middle void clearly depicted. The second excerpt in the chapter by Brinda Suri tells about art growth. Art growth is also called as raw art or outsider art. It was proposed by Jean Dubuffet in the 1940s. Art growth is the art of those artists who haven't received any formal training but possess artistic talent and insights. In the right hand side, you can see a picture of Jean Dubuffet, and below that, an image of a sculpture in the Art Growth Museum. The biggest contributor to outsider art or art growth from India is Nek Chand. Nek Chand created a patch of jungle in Chandigarh. There he created a rock garden with stone and recycled material. Nek Chand's contribution to art growth is acclaimed internationally. One of his rock garden sculptures, Women by the Waterfall, appeared on the 50th anniversary issue cover of Raw Vision, a UK-based magazine. The Swiss Commission for UNESCO organized a European exhibition of Nek Chand's works by the name Realm of Nek Chand. It was a 5-month interactive show held at leading museums in Switzerland, Belgium, France, and Italy. In Nek Chand's words, the biggest reward is walking through the garden and seeing people enjoy my creation. I hope this video helped you to have a better understanding of the chapter. Thank you.